All right, let's talk about one of the most common human goals, learning a new language. We're going to go on a little journey today, and by the end, we'll have unlocked some of the key secrets that really separate the people who succeed from those who, well, don't. I mean, think about it. Have you ever been in a language class where everything just clicks? It's fun, you feel like you're actually making progress. But then, you've probably also been in one that feels like an absolute grind, right? A total chore. So, what's the secret ingredient? Turns out it's not magic. It's all about the method. So, before we can even get into the how, the best way to teach, we've got to agree on the what. What are we actually trying to build here? Let's break language down to its most basic, essential parts. When you strip it all away, any language really just boils down to two things: grammar and vocabulary. Think of it like building a house. Your vocabulary, those are your materials, the bricks, the wood, the windows. But grammar, that's your blueprint. It tells you how to put all those bricks and boards together so you end up with a house instead of just a pile of junk. You absolutely need both. Without a solid grasp of grammar and vocabulary, you just can't build anything that will stand. Okay, so we've got our bricks and we've got our blueprint. That leads us to the real million-dollar question, doesn't it? What's the best way to actually start building? Because, as we're about to find out, the method you use is every bit as important as the materials you're working with. Let's start at the very beginning. We're cracking open what we'll call the beginner's toolkit. This is all about getting that foundation right from day one. For teaching grammar, one of the best tools is something called the task-based approach. And it basically flips the old, boring grammar lesson on its head. Forget just sitting there while a teacher drones on about rules. This approach gets you doing something. Let's say you're asked to plan a trip with a partner, all in the new language. You have to use the future tense or question words to actually get the task done. Our brains are just wired to remember stuff that helps us solve a problem, and then immediate practical use is what makes it all stick. And a really popular way to do that task-based stuff is with pair work. I mean, it just makes sense, right? It's way more fun, and it lowers the pressure because you're not on the spot in front of the entire class. Plus, everybody gets to talk. Sure, it can get a little loud and maybe take a bit longer, but for beginners, that confidence boost is absolutely massive. So what about all those vocabulary bricks we need? Well, for beginners, the research is clear. Make it fun. Turn it into a game. We're talking about matching words to pictures, little group quizzes, crosswords, even learning through songs. It's all about creating these positive connections in your brain that make memorizing feel a whole lot less like work. Okay, but once a learner gets those fundamentals down, the entire game changes. That beginner's toolkit isn't enough anymore. It's time for an upgrade. So let's move to the next stage and open up the advanced playbook. This is where the big shift happens. For advanced learners, it's not about the teacher handing you a list of 20 words to memorize for Friday's quiz. No way. The real goal is to give the student the strategies to learn on their own. It's about turning them into a self-sufficient language detective. And this quote from a couple of researchers, Liu and Nation, just nails the core idea. Instead of grabbing a dictionary every single time you see a word you don't know, you learn to look for clues around it. This is a super powerful skill called incidental learning. You're learning new words naturally, just as a byproduct of reading something interesting. And this isn't some kind of magic trick. It's a real process you can follow. First, you hit an unknown word. Ask yourself, do I even need to know this word to get the gist? If the answer is yes, then look at the words right next to it for clues. Then zoom out, look at the whole sentence, maybe even the sentence before and after. Make an educated guess, and this is the most crucial part, plug your guess back into the sentence. Does it make sense? Does it fit? Suddenly, every book you read becomes a vocabulary lesson. But hey, guessing isn't the only tool in the playbook. The other huge skill, and it's one that a lot of people overlook, is knowing how to use a dictionary like a pro. And I don't just mean looking up the first definition. It's about understanding all the different shades of meaning, checking out the example sentences, and really learning how to pick the perfect word for the exact context you need. So we've had a peek inside the beginner's toolkit and the advanced playbook. Now it's time to bring it all home and reveal the simple but really powerful secret at the heart of all this.
This table lays the whole journey out perfectly. Look at the beginner column. It's all about guided hands-on activities. Tasks, pair work, games, you're being led. But then look at the advanced column. The focus completely shifts to building those independent strategies. You're not taught grammar in a lesson anymore. You absorb it through reading and listening. You don't memorize lists, you learn how to guess from context. You see that progression? It's all about moving from being guided by the hand to learning how to walk on your own.
And that brings us to the big reveal, the teacher's secret. There is no single, one-size-fits-all best method for learning a language. It just doesn't exist. The real secret is adaptability. It's about knowing which tool to pull out of the toolkit for the right person at the right stage of their journey. Now, stick with me here, because this whole idea is way bigger than just learning French or Mandarin. This applies to so much more. Let's take one final step and look beyond the classroom. What we've just laid out is basically a universal path to mastering almost anything. You start with guided, hands-on practice to build that solid foundation. Then you slowly transition to developing independent, strategic ways of thinking so you can become a real expert. So the question I want to leave you with is this: what's the next big skill you want to master? And how can you use this very same learner's journey to get there?